Dear viewers, you're welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, at least 150 families are in pressing need of humanitarian aid following the catastrophe that hit Gwache in the West Regional capital, Bafoussam, leaving at least 40 persons dead, and the government of the Republic of Cameroon has disbursed 200 million francs CFA to help the victims and families of dead victims. We'll be giving you details in this newscast, and also in this newscast we'll show you the deplorable state of some roads in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. Stay with us. "150 families in the West Regional Chieftown, Bafoussam, in need of humanitarian aid following the catastrophe that hit Gwache, a locality in the third subdivision of the West Regional Chieftown, Bafoussam, and the catastrophe left at least 40 persons dead. And of course, the government of the Republic of Cameroon is now taking measures to handle that situation. And the Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanganji Paul, as well as the Minister of Urban Development and Housing, Celestine Kecha-Kutes, were in Bafoussam yesterday and even today, holding meetings and of course taking the corresponding measures and actions to rescue the victims and families of victims. We have details in this report by Immaculate Fogwe.
The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, alongside Minister Celestine Kecha-Kutes of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, were at the Bafoussam Regional Hospital, where they visited some victims of the deadly landslide and equally sending across the head of state's message of compassion to the victims. Both ministers held a meeting in the office of the Bafoussam Regional Hospital, where they gave out statistics of the number of casualties recorded. According to statistics, 42 deaths were recorded, comprising of 6 men and 10 women who were adults. 4 pregnant women, 11 male children and 15 girls were equally part of that incident. These children range from 6 years to 15 years old. We equally had a case of a man and his wife alongside their 6 children perishing in the landslide. At the moment, 36 corpses have been identified. Fears that continuous rainfall could lead to another landslide has caused the Minister of Housing and Urban Development to call on the population to evacuate the site. I want to call on the population to evacuate the area. I always said this: the environment that feeds us can equally kill us. When we live under a hill, we shouldn't be surprised that it falls on us. These persons should immediately leave the area. The state has promised taking charge of all hospital bills and has cautioned officials of the hospital not to demand a franc from any family. A new interministerial mission has been instituted by the Prime Minister, who is expected to be in Bafoussam on Wednesday.
And Cameroon's Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanganji Paul, has announced that the head of state, Paul Biya, has ordered the disbursement of 200 million francs CFA to help victims and, of course, the families affected by the landslide and those that are expected to leave the area in the coming days. Take a listen to this extract of Minister Atanganji Paul.
To the bereaved families, and secondly to tell the families that the government will assist them in carrying out funeral, in giving them assistance for them to bury the bereaved. It is important also to tell the public that this is a high-level interministerial mission which has been sent by the Prime Minister, head of government, for an evaluation meeting. That is, we have to extensively evaluate what is going on. And you hear Minister Yebe Aisi, he said that prevention, he has insisted on prevention. Yes, it is very, very important because as you can see, this is a landslide and this area is a very swampy area, meaning that under normal circumstances, people should not build here. And that's why Madam Minister Kecha Kutes is insisting that people should respect the preliminary instructions, elementary instructions on how to carry out buildings. And you want to have a property, but it should be done normally. Yes. So I think that it is a very, very sad situation. You can look at where the houses have been built. This is not a convenient area to build, but it's a catastrophe. We have had heavy rains because we can talk of climatic change and global warming, which is another motive sufficient enough that people have to be very, very careful. So after extending the heartfelt condolences from the President of the Republic to the bereaved families and telling them that the government will assist them in these times of difficulties, the inter-ministerial mission will have to evaluate the situation and present a report to the Prime Minister, head of government. And I think that one of the most important things which has to be done, that is, we are talking, the governor is here, the senior divisional officer is here, is that people must liberate the area, because this is a landslide which occurred 2 days ago, and from all the studies, it is possible for another landslide to occur in the shortest possible time. So it will be a serious disaster after having registered this bad situation, to leave the local population to stay on the site, knowing that sooner or later they can be victims of another catastrophe. So it's very important for the quarter head, for the governor, for the senior divisional officer, all those stakeholders, to educate the local population that we have come here to see what is happening, and at the same time we have come to educate the local population. So we will ask the governor, the senior divisional officer, to identify those who are still on the site so that we see how the government can assist them to relocate them temporarily, because what is at stake is their own lives, it's not even property. We can have property loss, but when people lose their lives, it is even more painful. So I think that this is a very important interministerial mission. And at the end of the day, when we'll go back to the governor's office, we'll make a comprehensive report to the head of state and to the Prime Minister, head of government.
There's more meeting at
yes, there's another meeting in the governor's office in about an hour's time to do an evaluation of what is happening. But I think that you people have had the statistics. As from now, they have registered 43 people have died, and the corpses have been transferred to the regional hospital here. So now there is still hope that maybe you can have 1, 2 or 3 people, but I think it's very difficult. As you can see, they are working under very difficult conditions. We want to extend the congratulations of the government to the local administrative authorities, to the fire brigade, even to the private companies, because so many private companies gave their materials so that they can help to extract the corpses. So I think that the population, they have reacted promptly, and following the high-level instructions from the head of state, we will see how we can put all.
The official death toll of the landslide in Guache, in the capital of the West region of the Republic of Cameroon, Bafoussam, stands at 43, as you heard the Minister of Territorial Administration highlighting in that extract, indicating that public authorities are bent on having those people still living in that area to leave, because there is a risk of a second catastrophe of a greater magnitude in that part of the town of Bafoussam. And as I said earlier, 200 million francs CFA have been disbursed by the head of state to help the victims, and of course 100 million francs CFA will go to 150 homeless families and families who are still in that area. This money will help them to relocate to another area to avoid a greater catastrophe, and 100 million francs CFA will be distributed to 50 families of death victims, and this money is going to help them for the organization of the burial of their loved ones. These latest informations disseminated by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Tanganji Paul. Now coming up, Hemini Luga takes a look at the reactions of Cameroonians and some political and of course civil society authorities in Cameroon with regards to the landslide in Bafoussam.
The Ngwachi landslide in the Bafoussam Tree Council area in the west region of the country after heavy rains has motivated huge commentaries on social media. Reactions have multiplied on different platforms, and very sensitive to the catastrophe has been Cameroon's head of state, President Paul Biya, who has not only addressed and sent a telegram to victims of the landslide via the governor of the west region, but has also expressed his heartfelt regrets on his Twitter page. Aligned with the president's condolence to the victimized families, political actors have as well sympathized with the victims. Ali Sajo, Pendere Koka, Edith Kabangwala, Akere Muna, amongst a handful, have been very expressive both on your Facebook handles and on your Twitter pages with respect to some 42 Cameroonians who have lost their lives in the Ngwachi neighborhood in Bafoussam Tree. And far from just expressing sympathy, other political bodies, such as the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, has, on its part, criticized the urbanization policy of the country, which, according to the party, is filled with loopholes. While the Social Democratic Front blames the government, which has always abandoned the vulnerable. The party members then criticized the state to have failed in sensitizing the public of such dangers. While noting that above 40 persons have lost their lives in this catastrophe, Cameroonians of all walks of life look up to authorities for better life preservation measures in a bid to avoid such in the future.
I told you in the headlines that we're going to show you in this newscast the deplorable state of some roads in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. And a case in point in this newscast is the Douala 4 subdivision. EQUINOXE reports.
This is Carrefour Music in Bonaberi, industrial zone in the Douala 4 municipality. Business tops the daily agenda, but the consequences of poor road infrastructures on economic transactions cannot be undermined.
Customers are not even coming because of the road, and since morning time I'm open, I'm not able to even have one customer. I don't know how I'm going to eat. I don't know how I'm going to pay the rentage. I don't know how I'm going to feed the family.
It requires courage using the stretch of road from Carrefour Music to Boadibo and the cattle market.
La route ne fait que s'empirer de jour en jour.
Mobility is cumbersome as all sorts of vehicles frequent it, with pedestrians battling not only with vehicles and motorbikes to flexibly trek to their destinations, but also with cattle.
Look at the street, mud is everywhere. Those who are moving on legs, those who are moving on bike, they are fighting the road, the path to pass, there's no way. Even those camions, they are the ones destroying the road too much because the road is not even first good.
Accidents are common, with calls on local government authorities to be responsible by doing what is right, provision of passable roads and not collecting taxes, and nothing realized with this money.
Mais on ne fait que contribuer des années, mais on ne parvient même pas à trouver comment faire pour passer. Comment?
Apart from this Carrefour Music, Boadibo stretch of roads, several others like that leading to Ndobo is a nightmare to its users, especially during the rainy season.
L'état de la rue n'y a pas moyen.
In the dry season, the mud becomes dust, changing the sad chapter to another bad news. All expected from authorities who equally use these roads in comfortable vehicles is for them to step down and experience the sufferings.
The roads are very, very bad. Even them, they can see it on their own way. They can even come and check it and see how the road is very bad. People are suffering in our nation because of road. We are pleading on the government to come and help us and fix this road so that we can have a good transaction, we can have good work on the street.
An experience which, according to the population, will only instigate them take positive actions.
Business activities were grounded in the Marwa main market in the far north region of Cameroon today. The traders took to the streets protesting against harassment by gendarme officers. Smanjik and Gabriel reports.
It was a tense Wednesday at the Marwa Central Market. The traders, who are tired of the illegal activities of a certain gendarme officer, decided to go on a demonstration at the main market. The gendarme officer came to the market because of the goods that came from Nigeria. He says it is his own. That is what he does on a daily basis. When he seizes the goods, he doesn't take them to the office, but sells them back. As a result of the protest that was aimed at putting to an end to the illegal dealings of the gendarme officer, the traders, apart from the demonstration, also imposed a shutdown at the Marwa Central Market, a day that the market was supposed to be operational. The traders say the gendarme officer is enriching himself at their detriment. Within 3 months, he has changed cars. He attacked someone at his residence because he is owing him 90,000 francs CFA. We are tired of all of this. Elements of the Rapid Intervention Police Force were immediately deployed to the scene to maintain order. But their presence didn't scare off the angry traders, who have decided that until justice is done, no business activities will continue at the Marwa main market.
From the far north down south to the southwest region of Cameroon, where Derek Chato, our correspondent in Boya, takes a look at the challenges and the problems, expecting solutions from the recently appointed and installed civil administrators, divisional officers, notably in the Indian division. Derek Chato.
His name is Garga Jigi, and he is taking over command as the new divisional officer for Mundimba Subdivision, headquarters of Ndian Division. And Perforwan Lawrence, the senior divisional officer for Ndian Division, Garga Jigi is taking up the state assignment in a security clean subdivision, where ghost town is history and academic activities the present for a better future. Thanks to the effort of Ali Anugu, the outgoing divisional officer of Mundimba, his predecessor.
The outgoing Mr. Ali Anugu did a wonderful job in Mundimba during his tenure of office. I think that if today children are going to school, it's time to our joint effort. When I mean joint effort, it is because he implemented on the ground all my directives.
But there is no time for rest, for words like national dialogue and special status are making bad noise in so many ears, rather than the government expected sound.
I asked the incoming just to enter into his shoe. That is no resting time. First, next year we have elections. He has to follow the electoral process. You also know that we are just coming out from a grand national dialogue held in Yaoundé. He has to go down to the grassroots and explain to the ordinary man, those who are not in Yaoundé, what the outcome. For now, we don't know the content of special status. It may even be better than the federation, so people should not be agitated. But I also want to say that the population of Indians are people who are peace-loving.
And it is for the sake of the population that he is sent to Mundimba. Thus, the new divisional officer should be the people's servant, not the other way around.
If they were not there, the head of state will not appoint a DO here. So if they have appointed a DO, it's because the population are there and is there to protect them first. That is primary activity, protect them and their property.
And if water is life, therefore there is no life in Mundimba, because for 1 year now, Mundimba subdivision has not seen a drop of potable water. Mundimba new divisional officer therefore need to bring back life in Mundimba subdivision. The senior divisional officer instructed him at the ceremonial grandstand during his installation described by observers.
Talking Point is up next. We are receiving a legal mind, Barrister Kamwa Limen, member of the Cameroon Bar Association and head of the Kamwa Limen law firm in Cameroon's economic capital. Douala. Barrister, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Babila. It's a pleasure being here once more.
All right, you certainly watched the images streaming into our newsroom from Bafoussam, from the locality of Ngwache. You heard about the number of deaths. You heard equally about the devastating nature of the landslide. Your reaction?
Well, like any other Cameroonian of goodwill, I express my sincere condolences to the family, to the Biri family. It is unfortunate that such a situation occurred, but it was foreseeable, because when you live in areas that are of high risk of landslide, there's a possibility that it will occur. And we just pray that others who are living should take note of such risk and prevent them subsequently.
And there are many people today who are looking at the incident as a failure, as far as prevention is concerned, a failure on the part of government.
You see, it's not all about the failure from the part of government. You know, the government cannot be present in every circumstances. So it is first of all the responsibility of the individual to see that their buildings are not situated in high risk zones. I agree that the government is not proactive enough to have taken measures to evacuate those people, to ask them to relocate to somewhere else. But you see, in all honesty, you discover that most of the time when government comes in to ask people living in those areas, it becomes instead a problem. They go on TV and they complain.
Usually resistance.
Yes, always a resistance. So I think the very first person who has to protect his life is the individual. It is foreseeable, as I said, that if you live in a mountainous zone and which the soil is not very strong, if there's downpour and or flow of water, it can lead to landslide. So it's always good for an individual, first of all, to protect himself.
But when you listen to the people who are living in such areas, not only those in Bafoussam, even those here in Douala, those in Bamenda who are living at the foot of the upstation hill, and some have built houses up to getting close to some of the large stones that are on the upstation hill. Some who are here in Douala in places like Bois de Saint and many other places like Bankolo in Yaoundé. When you listen to those people, they will see, but they have no choice. They have nowhere to go to.
No, Babila, to me, it's not a question of choice, because it's already a choice to choose where you are there. They made a choice to be there. You see, you must give your life some value. If you cannot just build anywhere and think that and say your pretext is that you have nowhere to go. No. Those areas are risky and people should not build there.
And some are occupying those places because normally, if they are to purchase a land, for example, in an area conducive for human habitation, free of risk of such catastrophes, they may have to disperse millions of francs CFA. And many Cameroonians are living below the poverty line. Many of them are unable to put food on their table, not to talk of purchasing a land. And so they bring up this argument to say that they are compelled to go to some of these areas like Bois de Saint in Douala, where they can occupy a piece of land, they can acquire a piece of land at little, close to nothing.
Mr. Babila, I see you reiterate and stress on the fact that if you want to settle, you want to build somewhere, take preventive measures. Be able to identify if the area is good or not. It's a matter of choice, and the option is you either get something good or you risk your life. So, from the beginning, in taking the decision, they knew that there was risk, and the first person to protect your life is yourself. You understand? And then, okay, the government has a responsibility. If the the Department of Urbanization is proactive, as I said, they will usually go to evict those people. But we've seen instances that
evicting them usually leads to resistance. And evicting them, is it a solution? Forceful eviction, is it a solution? Because some are thinking that instead of just saying leave this place, it's better to say leave this place and come and settle here.
Mr. Babila, if government has to do that, everybody will rush to settle in those areas to be given piece of land. It does not make sense. If the government has to do that you go and stay in a risky zone and the government reacts by giving you land, government will not have land. So people should, if you cannot build, don't build. Rent somewhere which is secured. Not everybody should stay in Douala, because if you go to some houses, you ask why these people could leave their regions to come and patch up where they are. It's a matter of choice, and honestly, somebody should not make a decision that will risk his or her life.
Even though some of those people are living in their villages, some are on their ancestral lands, and they're saying this is the only thing that we have as of now. And some are also thinking, civil society and some analysts are thinking that this problem is stemming from the bad economic situation of Cameroonians, the bad socio-economic situation of Cameroonians, the fact that Cameroonians are very poor. Many of them are living below the poverty line, unable to afford for their needs.
Mr. Babila, I still hold the view that poverty should not make you commit suicide, because that act is suicidal. If you're poor, go and get a cheap house bed where your life is secured. That is my take.
Life first.
Life first. And who has to protect your life first? You're the one. Why do you look at left and right when you're crossing a road? Because you know that you have the responsibility to protect your life. That is the very first thing. And so when you're being knocked down by a car, you not come and say that the government ought to have done. The government, no. To me, it's you are the first person who is responsible to take care of your security.
And what do you think about the way government has been managing the Bafoussam catastrophe? Until now, yesterday, there were about 3 government ministers who were on the site. They held meetings, and just this afternoon, the Minister of Territorial Administration revealed that the head of state ordered the disbursement of 200 million francs CFA for the families who have lost their members, and the affected families, and those who are still there, to help them to relocate.
Well, I think government has reacted properly. If you see the rapidity in which the Minister of Territorial Administration went down to Bafoussam, it's when something is good, let's say it's good. We should not just criticize all the time. It's good. But the government should equally learn that they can prevent this kind of situations. There have been, it's indicative that it could happen subsequently. And so the government should be proactive this time around to put in more efforts to remove those people staying in those areas to better locations.
To ensure that people don't
go and
risk zones.
Yes,
not only
it's better.
Bafoussam,
It is better the people criticize the government and stay in safer areas than for the government to fear those criticisms and allow them where they might die tomorrow, and the government comes to give money as aid and maybe pay hospital bills.
All right. Now, let's talk about the major national dialogue, which ended some weeks back. Since the dialogue ended and until now, the recommendations are on the table of the head of state and waiting for implementation. No action, no word has been said till now. Everything has been on a standstill, a dead silence for all this while.
Well, are you surprised that it's like that? I am not surprised. Because, first of all, what are we expecting? They set a special what?
Status.
Special status. What is the content of it? You don't know the content. So people are there, they ask for something. The Anglophones ask for some Anglophones, including me, ask for federalism. Others want to say sit. So if you have to give them something to cool them down, it's either the federalism or secession.
Not special status.
I stand for a federated state, and special status. What's the meaning of it? It's a high-sounding nothing to me. What is the content? It makes no sense. Nobody knows the content of the special status? Nobody knows.
It's yet to be defined.
And you see, the government has gone ahead to appoint DOs and senior divisional officers, which is very indicative that the system is not going to change. The system is not going to change, because as long as those DOs are present in the Anglophone regions, it means the government is indirectly ruling again.
No, but people, notably politicians of the Social Democratic Front, think that, for example, if the system of Quebec, which is a nation in a nation called Canada, is implemented here, the assembly of or there's an assembly for the two regions of the country. There's a separate judicial system.
Mr. Babida, all what we are saying now are just speculations. They're just speculations. The people, when they sat, they had grand dialogue. What did they decide concerning what is the content of the special status? We are just presuming that it could be like this, it could be like that. No, what is it?
So, to you, the special status, implemented or not, is not going to change anything?
I will not be jubilating for what I don't know. We don't know the content. You cannot be happy that you are waiting for the government to institute the special status. What is it all about? You must know, first of all, what are the gains that the government is giving the Anglophones. If you don't know, then it's just a high-sounding nothing, as I said.
And Cameroonians have been expecting, and they are still expecting to hear the head of state.
We are used to this kind of
something in that container called special status.
We have been used to the fact that we need to wait for one person to get up from sleep and take decisions, which is very unfair. If the head of state, he saw the urgency when he made his speech. He said before the end of the month that we're going to have the national grant, the dialogue, and after the dialogue, one would expect that immediately something should be done regarding what was discussed, because the release of my president Kamto was not part of what was to be discussed. You understand? So it is not part of the grand dialogue. So in effect, what constitutes the points in the grand dialogue, I've not seen anything yet. And we should not then be jubilating that there is a word that comes out, special status.
In the meantime, opposition parliamentarians are, notably those of the SDF, are preparing to storm the National Assembly during the upcoming parliamentary session and the Senate to press for this special status to be given a shape, to be given a content that is acceptable and profitable for the two Anglophone regions.
Unfortunately, it's majority vote that wins in the National Assembly, and we know that majority is CPTM. So no matter how much they talk, no matter how much they react, if the CPTM parliamentarians that constitute majority, if they are not being honest, nothing will work. So it starts from there. Our parliamentarians they are not honest. They know the truth, but they choose to follow their party discipline. They know for sure that what the Anglophones have asked is correct. They know for sure that the Francophones, they know that nothing is moving. And the Anglophones who are in parliament, in the CPTM, they are very indifferent. Do you think they don't know that it is good for us to have our status? They know, but
they are indifferent.
Of course,
Honorable Eni and some others put up a peace movement to canvass for a return to peace and normalcy in the northwest and southwest regions.
Were they advocating for federalism?
For a return to peace?
No, were they asking for federalism? If the answer should be no, because they cannot ask. But deep in them, they know that that's what we want, and they want the same, but they don't have the courage. They don't have the courage to say, please, let us discuss this. And it's unfortunate. They know, the parliamentarians, they know. But once they get there, you think about yourself first, like any other Cameroonian who is at that level. Majority of Cameroonians at that level, they think first about themselves than representing the people that they are supposed to be representing. So I don't think SDF will do the best as they can do. The other political parties will do their best, but they still are the minority, and so nothing is going to actually change. So
okay. We'll wrap up with some news concerning the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRM political party. Some of the militants, you are in the team of lawyers who were defending Professor Maurice Kamto and all the other detainees of the party after the release of the leaders and the allies and some militants. Recently, another set of the militants were detained, were released.
Mr. Babila, I was not particularly involved in the release of Maurice Kamto. I don't want to take glory where I don't work for it. I am in the forum, I am in the group of lawyers who were working for the release of the other MRC members who were locked up. But unfortunately, to be very honest with you, I've had a very busy schedule of late that I've not participated in the courts for such a result. But in any case, I want to thank seriously my colleagues who did a wonderful job. They have proven once again that lawyers are the best. If you're not a lawyer, be a friend to a lawyer. So I want to congratulate them for their work, the work they have done, and it is worth doing.
Though they still have a lot to do with President
Mamadou, and I know
Mamadou Mouta, who is still.
And I know they are capable. I know they are capable. Lawyers have worked so much, and they are still ready to work. And I congratulate my colleagues so much for the job well done.
Thanks, Barrister Kamwa Limen, member of the Cameroon Bar Association and head of the Kamwa Limen Law Firm. Thanks for coming.
It's always a pleasure, Mr. Babila.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.